Thanks, Greg, and good morning, all. I'm still a bit hoarse after shouting for England last night, but it wouldn't be England if we weren't still able to say, I still believe. One day football will be coming home, but let's keep going. Well, colleagues, good to see you all again. It is a year ago since we came together, and I reflected in my remarks at that point about the ever-changing and evolving story of air power, and importantly, the challenges ahead. Now, you know, this is a story of constant imagination, invention and adaptation in which we've had to evolve time and time again to stay ahead of those who threaten our security. And 3 weeks ago, in large part to the wonderful work that Harv and his team did, we managed to publish the Defence Investment Plan. That's a £298 billion down payment over the next 4 years to deliver our strategic defence review. It has £31 billion earmarked for air and space. It is one era-defining blueprint for a hybrid, digitally integrated and AI-enabled Air Force. A blueprint that protects the homeland by bringing together two commands with our new Integrated Air, Space and Missile Defence Operations Centre. A blueprint that delivers 3 gold standard combat air platforms in F-35, Typhoon and Tempest, and that creates high-value jobs across all 4 of our home nations. Now, it also injects £5 billion into UK drone innovation and capabilities. Now, that's up from £4 billion that we previously announced. It includes autonomous fighter jets, networked with our crewed platforms to improve their effectiveness and survivability. That will make the Royal Air Force Europe's first 6th-generation Air Force. 6 steps that secure a brighter future for our Royal Air Force and soon to be renamed Air and Space Command, as well as a more secure future for the UK, our allies and our partners. And on a more personal note, for those that have seen me do media interviews on the Defence Investment Plan for the last year, it means I never have to say we're working flat out to deliver it ever again, which will be a joy for everyone that has to listen to me and me for having to say it. But look, when I spoke to you a year ago, I said that realising the benefits of more mass, more lethality in the air was a team sport, and it certainly is today. And it continues to be that shared endeavour. In cockpits and hangars, on drawing boards and production lines, from RAF bases to Ramstein and beyond. And over the last 12 months, thanks to allies, partners and partners in industry, those teams have stepped up and delivered time and time again, strengthening defence, saving lives and reimagining what is possible. And we've seen that teamwork in the North Atlantic, where our P8s have increasingly worked more closely with our Norwegian, US, Canadian and German counterparts to counter the Russian threats. On NATO's eastern flank, our Typhoons are flying over Romania and have flown the RAF's first ever air defence sorties over Poland, defending against Russian incursions alongside our allies. And over the last 12 months, the RAF has done much to strengthen the NATO alliance and increase European deterrence. Now, with HMS Prince of Wales becoming the most advanced 5th-generation carrier strike capability, the Alliance has never had something like that under its flag before. That's something that the UK is very proud of. And earlier this month, its F-35s achieved a NATO first, conducting the Alliance's first ever air policing operations launched from a European carrier. And as you may have seen, they've had to deal with some rather angry Russian bears during that period as well. Now, I make light of it here because among friends and in this sector, we all know the dangers that we are facing and increasingly risky and dangerous times that we all live in. We all understand what's at stake and the skills and bravery that is required to meet that moment. And as a minister, especially one 3 years in, with a reshuffle only a couple of days away, it allows me to say thank you to all those who have served, both in the RAF and in our friendly forces alongside us, for their professionalism and their hard work. And importantly, it's not just those in the air that matter, it's all those on the ground that make the operations in the air possible. Now, moving beyond NATO, because the UK remains NATO first, but not NATO only, our RAF F-35s conducted over 1,000 joint air exercise sorties as part of our 2025 Carrier Strike Group deployment to the Indo-Pacific. And I thank all of our allies, especially those that are here today, for their assistance and those that hosted us. Now, that was a team that stretched from Portugal to Australia via Qatar, Oman, and then the UAE, across India, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines to Korea and Japan, with support along the way from Canada, our friends in the US, and various additional European allies as well. It was international by design, and it was internationally delivered. Thank you. Some of those teams were reunited earlier this year in the Middle East as Iran targeted its neighbours in response to the US and Israeli attacks. The RAF flew over 3,000 hours of defensive missions, intercepting over 100 drones and missiles. And again, we thank them, the air crews and the ground crews that supported them, for the skills shown and the lives that were saved. I think I want to give a special mention, which is hard to do in the media on our interviews, but for a crowd like this, you'll appreciate it, to our Rivet Joint Intelligence Gathering teams, particularly those who faced down Russian fire over the Black Sea last September. And in total, across the last 12 months, the RAF has teamed up with 45 other nations for exercises and operations. That's a truly formidable team, and goes to reinforce that the Royal Air Force that we are building and growing is international by design with strong partnerships, and that will continue. But as Greg mentioned in the introduction, it's also about how we build our industrial alliances to make them stronger, because there's another team of partners that are vital in there. That's our partners in industry. Now, it's both a cliche and a truism to say that our armed forces are only as strong as the industry that stands behind them. We see that in Ukraine. We know that to be true. But it is also something that many nations are playing catch up on too late, realizing that we have to have a closer bond with our industrial friends, both large and small, to deliver the increased capabilities and the innovation that we need. And both domestically and internationally, our industrial cooperation has been making us significantly stronger over the past year. So thank you to the team at CGI and many of the supporting SMEs behind our Borealis space awareness system that went operational this year, 6 months ahead of schedule. I wish, as a minister, I could say that more frequently, but it was very good that we did there, including our team at Spaceflux, who have given us our first images from Noctis 1, the UK's new military space telescope. Together, they've given the UK the sovereign eyes we need to monitor, protect, and defend our critical space infrastructure. And we will all see how space has become a domain of growing competition that is central to warfighting, and it is essential that we have sovereign capabilities. For those that heard my speech a few times ago, I spoke about the importance of all-domain warfare. And at the time, that was a phrase that the UK didn't use that much. It is now embedded into each one of our services, each one of our strategies, that we can't do any operation in any domain without the support of all domains. Now, that is also a truism. But if we are to take that at its heart, that means we need a different approach to how we deliver, deploy, and interconnect those services as well. Well, that's why we've established a new space systems group under the National Armaments Director to deliver additional capabilities in the space domain that helps enable activities across all domains, including in a UK-first offensive space capabilities that will be operated by 6 new specialist space squadrons trained at the Defence Space Academy alongside allies and international partners. Sovereign capability was also the starting point for Tempest, our 6th generation stealth combat jet that we are developing alongside our Italian and Japanese partners, as well as the Global Combat Air Programme that is gaining attention further afield. Earlier this month, we were delighted to press go on the design and test phase with a £4.6 billion contract awarded to Reading-based Edgewing Consortium that lead this work. That's made up of BAE Systems, Leonardo, and the various partners involved in the Japan Aircraft Industrial Enhancement Company. BAE and their vast ecosystem of British suppliers have also benefited greatly this year from the legacy capability partnerships with Turkey Typhoon deal and the Ukraine Gripen deal and various F-35 deals set to benefit thousands of UK workers who manufacture between 15% and 37% of those platforms by value. As export campaigns, the UK is also pivoting from campaigning not just on platforms, but on components and services, able to reach more markets, support more allies in their work, and grow our economy and theirs at the same time. Now, deals and investment that will also galvanise our defence and aerospace industrial base are key to delivering economic growth here. Supported by our new defence export strategy that will come later this year, that will focus on the whole range of options that British industry are good at, that your air forces also benefit from as well, demonstrating how collaborative air power spreads capabilities among allies and fuels economic growth in all our communities. Now, if you haven't read the Defence Investment Plan, it's worth having a read. I kind of made a pitch for people having a read of the Strategic Defence Review before. I'm sure quite a lot of you have. But the DIP sets out a bigger, bolder vision and a transformation that we haven't seen in peacetime in the UK for a very, very long time. Space and aerospace industries received a huge boost from our Defence Investment Plan, and that will fuel those sectors over the coming decades. So over the next 4 years alone, 8.6 billion has been allocated to fund the design and testing phase of GCAP, a further 1.1 billion to upgrade and sustain our Typhoon combat force well into the 2040s, and more than 4.5 billion invested in our transporter fleet of A400M Voyager and C-17s. More than 2 billion to lay the ground for our first F-35As that will enable the RAF to join NATO's tactical nuclear mission, providing a long overdue additional rung on our escalation ladder. The DIP also included 360 million for the full recapitalisation of the jet training system that will ultimately deliver new jets for our Red Arrows. And most eye-catching of all, building on Storm Shroud system that I spoke about last year, we also press go on our next phase of autonomous combat air power with our collaborative combat aircraft programme. Now, that will develop autonomous jets here in the UK, providing new levels of lethality and survivability for our crewed jets, acting as both guardian angel and an attack dog for our Typhoons, F-35 and future Tempest jets. Now, maximising our air power in the eye of the storm of future combat, that will be swarming with drones, 6th generation fighter jets and ever-evolving EW capabilities. And today, I'm delighted to unveil that our new autonomous CCA programme will be named Stormfighter. Stormfighter will make the RAF's Europe's first 6th generation air force. It is an investment alongside the 5 billion which we're investing in drones and other advanced uncrewed systems that will nourish our defence innovation ecosystem, meaning more programs like Project Vanquish, which is a trialling jet-powered drones to serve alongside our F-35Bs currently, putting our partner companies at the leading edge of autonomous combat air power and laying the ground for exports, growth, partnership with friendly nations, more defence jobs and a more resilient defence industrial base. And I think to do that, we also need to learn the right lessons from Ukraine. Now, there are those that said we should have gone even further on drones, or even all in replacing crewed aircraft completely. I don't believe that's the right lesson that we should take from Putin's illegal war in Ukraine, because evidently the UK is not Ukraine. We do not share a land border with Russia. We are a member of NATO, and we have security and global interests and responsibilities that require the type of air power that only combat jets and deep strike can deliver, which is why we've been investing in deep strike innovation alongside NATO allies and steadily building the foundations for the growth we want to see in our aerospace sector, including with our £182 million skills package. That includes 5 new Defence Technical Excellence colleges, with 2 located in the heartlands of our aerospace sector in Yeovil and Blackpool, providing the foundations to deliver on our mission to make the UK the best place in the world to grow a defence business. Now, Defence hasn't invested in skills in the way that it has needed to, but we need to now, because with more of a rising defence budget being spent with companies based in Britain, we need to supply more people into that roles. More young people finding their first career, more graduates, and more mid-career reskilling. So to riff off an old marketing slogan, the future's bright, the future's Air Force Blue, because last year I challenged us all to evolve again, to stay ahead of those who threaten our security. And this year we've delivered the blueprint and investment to accelerate that transformation here in the UK. The RAF was a big winner from the Defence Investment Plan, strengthened by our £27.8 billion investment over the next 4 years to build Europe's first 6th generation Air Force, built around 6th-generation sovereign Tempest jets, flying alongside autonomous Stormfighter combat aircraft and frontier drone technologies developed with allies made in the UK, fueling growth in our defence and aerospace sectors and galvanising deterrence, alongside our upgraded Typhoon and expanded F-35 fleets, showing the continued importance of air power to deter and defeat, as we boost security for the UK, for Europe and our partners around the globe. So whether you're an ally, a partner in industry, we stand ready to continue to work with you as a team, and I'd welcome your difficult questions now. Thanks very much.